Mom, is Dad having a breakdown? Looks like it.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2024 Christmas comedy Bad Tidings. The film is directed by Tim Kirby and it stars Lee Mack, Chris McCausland, Rebecca Staton, Bill Crompton and Emily Coates. Right, the film focuses on Neil and Scott, two neighbours on a UK housing estate. Lee Mack's character Neil, he runs his own kind of security firm, and he can't stand his neighbour Scott, played by Chris McCausland. They constantly at each other, trying to wind each other up. Neil doesn't care at all that Scott's blind. They just keep going at each other constantly, keep trying to outdo each other. The rest of the neighbours think Scott can't do any wrong. They basically, do everything they can for him because of his disability. And then, leading up to Christmas, Lee Mack's Neil decides he's had enough and he's going to really try and outdo Scott. So he puts decorations all over the house, turns them on for the neighbours, and it blows out the power for the neighbourhood. This is reported on the news, and a local criminal gang, the Brennans, decide, well, there's not going to be nobody there because they've all had to move out for Christmas because there's no power. We're going to go and rob this housing estate. However, what they don't count on is that Neil and Scott have both agreed, because of the head of the neighbourhood watch, to stay behind and look after the houses over Christmas to make sure nothing happens. And this puts them in direct conflict with the Brennan family. They have to work together then to try and stop the whole housing estate being robbed. Right, what are my thoughts on Bad Tidings? Well, this is a Sky original film, I believe. And it's got... excuse me, I'm full of a cold. It's got like English, like sitcom comedy feel all over it, this thing. If you like British kind of sitcom comedy, then you're probably going to find this, relatively entertaining and amusing. It doesn't, it doesn't feel big budgeted or anything like that. It feels like a Christmas special, if you like. If there was a sitcom called Bad Tidings, this feels like it could be the Christmas special. To my knowledge, there isn't a sitcom called Bad Tidings. This is just a Christmas-based movie. Now, Lee Mack and Chris McCausland, neither are really known for their acting ability. I know Lee Mack has done a few sitcoms over the years. He's done a decent amount of acting, but he's more known for his comedy abilities and his game show presenting in the UK. Chris McCausland is a stand-up comedian, and he's just won Strictly Come Dancing in the UK very recently at Christmas time. So, they're both very, very well known in the UK. So it's actually quite pleasant to see these two guys in this film, and to have like these, I think the strongest part of this film is actually the setup. Lee Mack constantly spying on his neighbour, them constantly trying to get the better of each other. That's the best part of the film, because the second part of the film is the part where the Brennan family tries to rob the street. Now, there's one major issue that holds this film back. You can't see bugger all in the second half of the film because there's no power. So much of the comedy in the second half of the film is physical comedy. It's essentially Home Alone type comedy, where they're, trying to get the better of these people trying to rob the street. So they're kind of doing all sorts of things to them. But as I've said, it's just too dark. You can't enjoy it. Now, I get that that works in the advantage of Chris McCausland's character, Scott, because he's blind, and they do take advantage of that in a couple of scenes. You know, with him kind of knowing his environment back to front, it doesn't matter to him that the power's out. There's no difference to him. So he's got the upper hand, if you like, in a couple of scenarios in the film when the power's out. But it does get quite tiresome because I genuinely struggle to see a lot of the comedy going on, a lot of the physical comedy. And I think it really held the film back. I don't know what the answer was in regards to letting us see it a bit better. But, just light it a little bit better than you actually did. Because it's a movie at the end of the day. No one's going to point at it and say, oh, hang on, it's supposed to be pitch black here. There's no power. I'm not saying that, put all the lights on, but just light it a little bit better than they actually did. For me, the second half of the film kind of spoiled it a little bit because I was quite enjoying it. It was quite a comfortable watch to start with. You know what I mean? There's a little bit of cringiness going on in regards to the scenarios that certainly the Lee Mack character put himself in, making himself look a right prat at the expense of Scott. And that the initial setup and the introduction to the characters and the families and the neighbours on the street and all that kind of stuff, he did its job and worked quite well. And the Brennan family, the people that are doing the robbing on the street. I mean, the head of the family, who is played by Rebecca Staton, Stacey Brennan. She just got out of jail, 3-year stint in jail. They're just basically there to get horrible things done to them in the second part of the film, by Neil and Scott, all these kind of weird things that they do. But it is fun to see these two characters having to work together in the second part of the film, because they really don't like each other at the start of the film by any stretch of the imagination. So they really have to work together, and that is a strong element to the film as well. But it has its downfalls. It's not the best acting you're ever going to see because they're not primarily actors, if you like. It's got a real sitcom feel to it. Some of the gags will make you kind of smile and giggle, but essentially it's like British Home Alone with the lights off. It's probably the best way to describe it. Not bad, not terrible, certainly watchable, but I think it could have been a lot better too. So yeah, if you get the chance to check this one out, give it a watch. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. Happy New Year, happy 2025 to all of you, and I will of course be back with loads more content this year for you guys, so catch me then.